Alright, welcome to Crucible Bootcamp 6. I'm your host, King Koala, and today we're going to be going over some elimination, specifically by a friend of mine named Signals. He sent me in a clip where they start 3v3 and one of their guys ends up dropping out. So we're going to cover how to win a 2v3, kind of building off of our 1v3 situations from last time. So let's get into it. So it's on Frontier, which is a map that I haven't covered yet, so it should be interesting. He starts off kind of posturing around the bridge. He pushes the bridge. This is normally the safer side to push on this side of the bridge. His teammates are kind of fighting him over there. Guy weak pushes around. So I like this little maneuver here. You notice he's running a pulse and a sniper. So when you get pushed in close range as a sort of a mid-range built loadout like this, it's good to do what you would do as if you would have a last word, and that's backpedal a lot. He is running nothing manacles, so it's nice to have that close combat grenade to kind of cover your escape. So you notice he tagged one guy, he got him about half, and then he pushed him. He just kept backing up. His teammates are kind of running around. So he does this a lot, and I'm going to say this a lot during this match, but he covers angles that he could be covering with his sniper rifle. And he doesn't do a great job of covering orbs doing this by challenging with his primary rather than covering with his secondary. So if he had his sniper out there, he could have killed that guy. He goes for kind of a risky challenge here. He had plenty of time to pick his teammate up. I would have liked to see him pick his teammate up instead of challenging there. And again, he challenged with his primary when he could have just as easily challenged with his secondary. That range would be considered a mid-range shot. So it could be kind of risky or uncomfortable, rather, as a sniper, taking that kind of close-range shot. But those are the kind of shots that I constantly drill in you guys. You got to be comfortable at least trying to take the shot. It's really going to help you out. Even if all you do is go for a body, and you should just be going for the quickest shot you have, not necessarily a headshot. So on Frontier, you can always jump up onto that bridge up there, and that's a very easy way to get clean flanks and clean pushes because most people they don't cover the bridge. So his teammate gets stuck, gets unicorned, and again he's challenging this lane with his primary. So you notice that he's absolute, and instead of backing up and finding cover, he's still completely in the open, and the guy just jumps above him and comes down and melees him. He really, he has control of this orb and the enemy has control of his teammate's orb, so you're kind of in a standoff until your teammate gets there. He should have waited for support, and instead he puts his teammate in a really rough position and he just gets 2v1'd. If I were in his position in absolute like that, I would have just abandoned this orb altogether and gone for an angle to cover it. There are basically two options. He could have went down into B around where the rocks are and try to get a head glitch from heavy, or he could push out to the bridge, which is a little more open, but his teammate is out there, so he's covered. His back's going to be covered from that angle, and you can still cover the orb with your sniper. So either one of those options would have been okay. There's a few openings that you can use in Frontier. This one that he's doing right now is always the riskier one, mainly because this area here, between Pride Rock and Shelf, it's pretty open. It's pretty open to getting hit from containers off to the right. You see here, out in this cubby where the special spawns, and then this big warehouse door. So you see, I'll rewind that. You just watch the cubby, you'll see someone pop into the cubby. So already he can right there. He could get potentially shot from two angles. Luckily, this guy's just hard scoped down the bridge, so he gets a free shot. But to challenge this cubby Like you can see, he gets body shotted really quickly. It's dangerous. This is a good nade. He's lucky, really lucky he didn't get firebolted there. That push on top of Pride Rock is really dangerous. You know this guy has a hard scopes, either on heavy or around Pride Rock, so that push onto Pride Rock is actually really, really dangerous. He would have been better off sliding around Shelf and pushing it behind there, because there's a good head glitch to cover this orb, and you can also see kind of into the cubby. So this is when his teammate dies, and he just barely misses that cover. He's getting pushed right now. He has a really good cover with his grenade. He's very good with his scatter grenades in this match. His teammate cleans up the third guy, but in reviewing this, I don't like this push out of cover to challenge here. And especially that little hop he does there, you have basically no accuracy with the pulse rifle in air. Even with Icarus, it's really bad. So it would have been better for him to slide behind this box right here to the left, and then peek out, get a burst off, and then challenge in the open. As long as you get that first burst off, you're going to have a much greater chance of killing your opponent than they are of killing you. Instead, he hops up and he gets lucky that he doesn't get shot once or twice in the air, because as you can see, he was absolute. If he got hit once or twice in the air, he would have been dead there instead of finished the round off. So now they're in this 2v3. So you notice that unlike a couple of the other trials matches or elimination matches we've watched, he has a different opening every round. They're slightly different. Maybe the pushes are a little timed a little differently, but this is what you want to do in trials. Like, unless you're playing incredibly aggressively, if you have a sniper, you want to change up the lanes that you're looking down and you're covering. I don't like his teammate's placement here. He's completely exposed. His placement is okay, but the problem is that you can't cover his back, and he just gets picked. So you have very few options here. So now we're in a 1v3 situation. And bridge is probably one of the few places you don't want to be on this map. You can get pushed in at multiple angles. Someone can go over the top of bridge and drop down behind you. There's just so many ways for you to get pinched from multiple angles that you should be moving around the map. Frontier is one of those weird maps where it's big enough that you can move around it, but the engagement spaces can be really small. So it's good for shotgunners in some of the spaces. Like bridge is actually really good for shotgunners if you can force them into you. So he goes back to this 50-50 a lot during this round. And in 1v3s and in 2v3s, you don't want to go to the 50-50s because you're already down a man. So the risk of you dying in a 50-50 is magnified. Or the consequences of you dying in a 50-50 are magnified. It's much worse because then you leave your teammate in a 1v3. There's very few opportunities for you to come back when it's just three guys that are going to swarm you. So I don't know why he put away his sniper rifle there. He could have got a quick body shot, but he cleans them up with Hawksaw, which is nice. He's covering his exit with the grenade. Now, as we saw in 5, how I was talking about winning 1v3s and playing for your abilities, you notice that he has Nova Bomb up and there's only 10 seconds left in the round. So knowing that, and there's two guys, there's one guy out here, you don't know where the third guy is. You don't necessarily need to cover this guy. You can let him pick up his opponent. And he gets tagged with a trip mine. It's really close to sticking him. And now the zone has popped up, and he's kind of flirting with this guy on the bridge. I really don't like this cover because he's gonna, with these enemy teams or these the enemy players up, you're really not getting anything by winning the bridge because you don't really, as you can see here pretty soon, you don't really have a shot at the point. As you can see, he doesn't have a shot at the point. The rock's in the way of B, and they both just hop onto B. If he had saved his super, this is a very easy double, and then he puts himself into a situation where it's just 1v1 with the third guy. Like, he could have left the third guy alone and went and hit over here or hit under river. He had a lot of options with his super, but now that he doesn't have super, he has no options, and they just cap the point. I'm curious as to when... Okay, so he doesn't... I want to know when his grenade's up. Okay, so he has his grenade. So as soon as the point spawns and you notice that they're capturing it, from this location on bridge, you can just hoof the grenade over the rock to cover it. You don't have to cover it with your sniper. If he had thrown his grenade over there, he would have been able to clean up both kills. Especially with the Embrace the Hunger, or Embrace the Void, whichever perk it is that gives him back his grenade. That would have been a much better option. In 2v3s, you really, really have to be cognizant of when your super is up, and you have to get the most out of it. You have to win the round with it in a 2v3 or in a 1v3. Otherwise, it's gonna bite you later on in the match. And we'll see. Just like how when I whiffed my super, I got punished for it. Or you can potentially get punished for it. He's gonna get punished for wasting his super and not winning the round. I mean, it was a kill, so it wasn't a complete waste, but he could have used it a lot better. So again, like I said, you don't want to go to the 50-50s, and he goes to the 50-50. In Frontier, the 50-50s are a little bit weird from the A side because obviously on C side, there's only a couple head glitches. You have this cinder block here. There's a couple boxes to the right behind this tree, and then there's another tree that you can head glitch into, and also there's a slight slope that goes down towards Cubby. But in general, these up here before the slope are all on the same elevation. Whereas on A side, you can go to the cinder block on A side, you can go to the ramp behind the tree. There's either side of the tree. You can actually jump up onto Pride Rock. You can go all the way to the right to get on the shelf. There are a lot of different ways you can attack this one location. So the 50-50 on A side is actually okay to go to, in my opinion. But if you're in a man-down situation on the other side, I definitely wouldn't recommend ever going to the 50-50. But rule of thumb, just don't do it. He gets very lucky that he kind of stays in the spot. As you can see, he can get shot from here, from the warehouse door, and also slightly from the edge of the bridge. So I would have liked to see him here dip behind the truck to his right or behind the cinder block to his left. He kind of leaves himself in the open for no reason, and then immediately hard scopes. It's very lucky that he can get punished here. He told me that this was a pickup group, so he has no communication with his teammate. As you can see, he's not in his party. So they get the orb down, and he goes to cover it, which was okay, but then he kind of abandons it, and then they're trying to pinch the third guy. And the third guy just gets out. If he gets sniped, but he self-reses, and bad things happen now because he wasn't out there to cover. He really has no shot here. He gets lucky that the Sunsinger just wants to stay on the bridge. And again, he wasn't covering orbs, so they're just getting all these free reses. You can't hear it, but the enemy team pops an arc blade, or his teammate pops arc blade, and the enemy team pops a golden gun. And now, like I said, in 2v3s, when you're on bridge, you get pinched from multiple angles. He has no idea where they're going to come from. He really has no shot here. His only real chance is to try to get a quick scope on him, and it's pretty difficult. Like that's kind of a high pressure situation. I wouldn't just expect someone to make that play or even realize that that's the play they should make. But if you're watching your tape, that's a good opportunity to try to make a quick scope. Heavy round on Frontier is interesting because heavy round itself is a 50-50 as far as if you're going to engage someone. Sometimes teams don't go to Pride Rock to challenge. Sometimes they go all the way out to the other side. But luckily, all three members of the enemy team go to this heavy, and they stuck together. If it would be really bad if he didn't follow his teammate, or if his teammate didn't follow him, and they just split the map, because then they would have had 3 guys with heavy, and your teammate or you would have gotten heavy, and it's pretty rough on Frontier because there's just so many corners you can get shot by a rocket. So again, different opening. Always a different opening. You never really see him do the exact same movement back-to-back rounds. So like we saw earlier, he should be taking out a sniper here. This is a long lane. You have a pretty good shot. Again, he challenges with the primary. He gets the kill, but a body shot would have cleaned up that kill a lot faster. His teammate gets a kill and they just push to get the res. Trying to cover res. This is a good grenade. It's a grenade that covers his escape, like I was talking about earlier. If that was a lightning grenade, they wouldn't have been able to go through it. The problem with that kind of grenade in this situation is it makes your movement predictable. So you don't want to push around this corner necessarily, like right away. He does a good thing and he delays the push. And then he just funnels that guy into his teammate. I don't know if that was on purpose, if he knew that his teammate was there, but you want to be mindful of where your teammates are and the ways in which you can manipulate the enemy team to move into them. It's really effective as a player to corral people into your teammates to kill. You don't necessarily have to get the kill or even get any shots off them, but you can put them in a situation where if they move into a pinch, which is what happened there. This round's probably my favorite round in the clip. There's a pretty sick play in it. Again, using the bridge as cover, pseudo cover. He's not really exposed up there. So, similar to a Titan using a Fist of Panic, he kind of panic novas. And I'll bring up a point at the end, but you don't need to Nova there. You're up around. Even if they win, they go up 4-4, you still have your Nova. That's not a great Nova to use, especially because they're still going to have their supers. He gets a kill with his grenade here, and his teammate dies. So he gets the Nova kill, he gets the second guy, and he immediately pushes back to the orb. This is what you want to do in 1v3s or 2v3s. You want to get your teammate up. It's okay to abandon that orb like he did, because you're going to have a better shot at winning if you have a man up or if you're even. So he leaves the third guy alone. The third guy gets this res, and then he just gets the dirtiest quickscope I've seen in a while. Again, if he had his Nova here, this arc blade wouldn't be an issue. He could just Nova it. But he gets arc bladed, they get a res, and then now his teammate's in a 1v2. And his teammate, he can't really, there's not much his teammate can do. He sticks him. He doesn't have his secondary out and gets double meleeed, so what are you going to do? But now we're in the precarious situation where we're in a 2v3, and we used our super again and didn't win the round. So it's pretty rough wasting supers like that. I would grieve too. I would grieve 2 signals. All right, last round. Again, the 50-50. It's the last round, man. This is the worst, absolute worst time to go to the 50-50. And you can see he already's hard scoped on you. You really have no shot here. He's really lucky he gets a body shot and the guy dips. Because a better sniper would have just domed him. He would have been ready for either location with a swipe. He moves around, but you're not anywhere close to your teammate. And you're not really covering anything. You would have seen a blip. If you were in this position where he's at right now, and someone's actually in the cubby, you would actually see them on radar. And you kind of see it now as he moves forward. And because they didn't immediately show up when you got to heavy, that means they're not necessarily in the cubby yet. They're around the door, or they're back in the warehouse. Now that he's all the way up, he's moved in, but you didn't necessarily need to cover this. And he gets barbecued, so he backs out. He's absolute. This guy gets killed in traffic, which is nice. Like this is why this side of the map is very powerful to control, because it does cut off a lot of avenues for flanks. His teammate dies, so now he's in a 2v3. Getting pushed. He has a good grenade there. The other guy just doesn't move and gets killed out of it. That little hop up on the Pride Rock, you have to be really careful about your jumps, especially as a Warlock, because of how floaty you are and how long you stay in the air. But you want to try to time your jumps where it's a quick burst back into cover. So he tries to do a really good thing here, and this play would have been much cleaner if he actually made this jump, but he misses, and then he misses the shelf, and now he's just kind of hopping in the air, completely out of cover. He gets the kill, and he gets the res. So we have super pretty much now. We're low on ammo, so hopefully we got to whiff a grenade here. And we're barbecued now. And we're probably going to burn out. Yeah, we burned out because we got fire bolted. And we got throwing knifed. Teammate popped his arc blade, and he's just going to go for a safe res. This is an okay Nova. You have no shot here, and you cover one of your flanks. So this is a good Nova. The other ones were kind of panicky. This one is just like, you got nothing to lose. Get rid of the guy, cover your back. All right. So again, it's one-on-one. You got 10 seconds left on res. You got 14 seconds left on the point. So in this situation, you know that there's an orb outside, and you know that this guy that you just tagged is weak. A bad player would have pushed back into that grenade or pushed back into him and challenged to this primary, try to make the big play. You'll see the enemy player does the smart thing and goes around to get the res. And the way in which Signals moved around the map, you basically gave it to him for free. At this point, he's outside and he's probably going to get the res. You have two options. You can try to hole up in this room, which is risky, but not really because you know they're not running shotguns. Or you can push out through the warehouse and snipe the orb. He chooses to come back out. The guy still hasn't picked him up yet. And that was a really nice grenade. It was really close, but at the end of the day, he got unicorned. So that was just a good play on his opponent's part. If you just hit, if one of those scatters hit him, you would have killed him. But, and again, he didn't necessarily need to push all the way down where he did. In retrospect, it was a poor decision to push all the way down. He could have stayed up. Let's see. He could have stayed up here where the orb is. He could have sniped down there into this corner from being behind cover, and been a lot safer. And if the trip mine did hit him, it would have left him absolute and not killed him, and it would have given you an opportunity to try to get a res. And you can see he has his grenade up, so he can still cover at this choke point with his scatter grenade. But pushing all the way down like this, and then improperly using your sniper for a very, very close range shot, it just didn't work. It was very risky. Very risky. So that's pretty much all she wrote. So something that I feel like a lot of players do this, and that's they don't utilize the strengths of their loadout, or they utilize the strength of their loadout where there's too much overlap. And so an example of this, there's two examples of this. The pulse sniper rifle is a perfect example because the mid-range shots that you want to be taking with your sniper rifle are also the power points for your pulse rifle. It's where your pulse rifle is most powerful, is in mid-range. It's outside of auto rifle range, and it's within scout range. And that's also a very good spot for your sniper rifle. A lot of body shot, you'll make a lot of body shots in mid-range, which is fine. And then you clean them up with your primary. The problem with that is that you have no close range defensive capabilities as far as your guns go. So you have to be very, very careful with your abilities. Warlock is great at having defensive abilities. Scatter Grenade in particular is very good at protecting yourself. So is Flame Shield and Firebolts, even after the nerf. I mean, Stormcaller melee is really good, especially if you get hit and you're running feedback. It's a 187, so all you got to do is tap them with a body shot, one body shot with one burst on your pulse, and you'll kill them. Titan's really good at having defensive abilities. Maybe Face Stab if you get lucky, maybe. Trip Mine's a little risky, real close range because you can kill yourself. It doesn't even stick anymore, so you can still kill yourself. But if you want to fight in mid range a lot, you should be running either a fusion rifle or a sidearm or a shotgun. You should just be running those because it's going to help you push, and even on a long map like Frontier, you can still challenge those long lanes with your pulse rifle and still feel comfortable to protect yourself when someone gets up close when your abilities are down. And your abilities are going to be down a lot. You're going to miss your grenades. They're not necessarily going to get in melee range. And it's going to give you a better opportunity to push orbs, or in the case of non-elimination, you're going to be able to push the pace. You're going to be able to push to the other spawns to be able to cover them as they get off. A fusion rifle is longer range than a shotgun. You can do a lot of things with the fusion rifle that you can't do with a shotgun. You just have to be very careful when you play against enemy shotgunners because they're always going to kill you faster than you're going to be able to kill them in the same effective range, in that really short range. And you also have to be very careful about pushing choke points and corners because they can close the gap sliding into you. And you're normally not going to have enough time unless you're really, really good at pre-charging to protect yourself. So in my notes that I made about this gameplay, I said that he should consider changing his primary or his secondary because there's too much overlap in engagement ranges. And it looks like that he's uncomfortable using the sniper in those mid-ranges, which is okay. Not everybody's really comfortable using their sniper in mid-range. Some people are only really comfortable using it very long range. But that means you need to complement the fact that you're never going to shoot in mid-range with something that can shoot mid and short range. And your options there are really an auto rifle or a hand cannon. I know that Doctrine's just been nerfed, but it's still very good. It's still the most forgiving weapon in the game as far as headshots versus body shots. I would still highly suggest using that. If you don't play in the air, if you do play in the air and you're comfortable making shots in the air or moving around in the air, then you should use a hand cannon. If you're not playing Trials or any light level stuff, Thorn is still good. If you can hit headshots. If you can't hit headshots, don't bother with Thorn. You have to be accurate with Thorn to get the most out of it. The Last Word's always a solid choice. It's even better now with increased accuracy up close. I know the damage fall off is atrocious now, but that's really just showing you, and you should have learned this by now, the effective range of the Last Word and where you should use it. The Last Word's a little iffy as far as making your mid-range shots as what the sniper goes, because of how the damage fall off works now. You are going to have to get more comfortable making body shots with your sniper rifle in mid-range to clean it up with the Last Word. If I was going to use a hand cannon and I was new, I would either use the Vanity, which is just solid all around. I think the base, the vendor roll from Future Warcold is really solid. I'm pretty sure it has rifled barrel. IS Luna is really nice. It has a good recoil pattern, has very high hidden stats. Or the First Curse. And the First Curse is amazing for snipers because It has quick draw on it, which means you can clean up body shots really easily. Once you get the first curse proc active, it hits at pulse and like really low scout range. And it does enough damage to be a threat. And on its own, it's basically like getting hit with a very low impact sniper rifle when you get headshots. It's 95 to the head, which means that it couples with abilities really nicely. Uncharged melee plus a headshot is a kill. A lightning grenade, 1 lightning grenade tick, and a headshot is a kill. I don't actually know what the burn numbers are on Firebolt, but it should be close to a kill with all the burn ticks and a headshot. It was like, I want to say it was 3 or 4 ticks before the nerf where it would kill with a headshot. But those are and the thing about hand cannons is they always have that built-in Icarus basically, so they're more accurate in the air. So if you are comfortable using it in the air, that's good. Auto rifles, Doctrine or Soul Stealer's Claw are both perfectly fine options. I personally don't ever suggest anything that's not or Arminius. I don't personally suggest anything that's slower than the fastest rate of fire, because it isn't forgiving as far as headshots versus body shots. Most of those other archetypes, you have to get 75 to 100% headshots in order to get the minimum time to kill. And no one has perfect accuracy. No one. So you should do your best to pick the weapon where you can get the most out of the accuracy that you do have. So that's why I say pick forgiving weapons where you're allowed to get body shots, but you still get the maximum or the minimum time to kill on it for the fastest kills. And eventually, hopefully you'll get more comfortable with that weapon. You'll stick to it. You'll be able to more reliably hit all the shots that you need to make. But once you don't want to really move up to those high skill floor weapons, like let's say Jade Rabbit. Jade Rabbit has a really, really low time to kill. It's like, I think it's 0.8, which is phenomenal for a gun right now. But you have to hit a body shot and then 2 headshots, or a headshot, a body shot, and a headshot, or 3 headshots. Any one of those options works. 2 bodies and a head doesn't work. So you have to, one, know the gun inside and out. You have to know the recoil pattern, and you have to be able to hit your headshots pretty much all the time, or you're better off using Mida, which is much more forgiving. Mida also has amazing hidden stats. It has 100 aim assist, and it has a recoil pattern that's basically straight up. And, you move faster. It used to have high caliber rounds, not anymore, but when it did, it was just a monster weapon. So, again, consider changing your loadout to complement how you want to play the game. Like, I'm comfortable with making those mid-range shots with a sniper rifle. So I'm comfortable with using the last word and covering the very short to very close mid-range with my last word, and then covering the mid to long ranges with my sniper rifle. Okay, so let's cover some openings on Frontier, since we actually haven't talked about Frontier. On Frontier, this is like a sniper map that I'm actually really excited about when it comes on Trials. It has some very unique sightlines and a lot of mind games when you play against snipers on Frontier. It's not like I like using a sniper, but I'm weird because I really like short to mid-range engagements. So I actually have like 3 times as many primary kills as I do sniper kills, because I like getting in there and I like utilizing my abilities and how they synergize with my kit, my loadout. But Frontier is cool because there are a lot of sightlines that you can take and a lot of different ways you can cover an orb. It's really hard to pick someone up on Frontier and not get shot from a really weird angle if you relocate, because there's so many. It's just so open, a lot of these areas. And it's also a cool map because if you can use the bridge, you can utilize the top of the bridge to push into the enemy team, and it makes shotgunners really scary. Just throwing a firebolt grenade down onto C bridge or down onto A bridge, you can annihilate an entire team. So we'll cover alpha team openings first. So the 50-50 line is always bridge to bridge. It's this here. And then basically anywhere bridge to truck, any of this area here, I would consider that a 50-50. The interesting thing that, like I discussed earlier, on the 50-50 is there's a lot of different elevations and a lot of different ways that you can approach these angles to make it either not a 50-50 or just confuse your opponent. Most players that I've noticed that play Frontier that are sniping on Alpha will come out of Alpha onto A bridge, and they'll come out here to the cinder block, or they'll go down behind this tree. That's pretty much it. That's all they'll do. So if you're on C and you push out here to the bridge, you can basically pre-aim from behind this tree, or you can come around through crane and snipe up here, or you can come on down onto the slope and snipe across. But it's a lot of guessing game. So if I'm on the later rounds of a Trials card, and I know that in general, the opponents that are going to be sniping me are going to be a little bit smarter than normal, and they're going to know how to manipulate the 50-50, then this becomes a guessing game. Where they are over here becomes a guessing game, and that's very dangerous because you don't want to start off a card getting a loss. You know, that's a morale. You know, it's going to hurt your morale. It's going to hurt your momentum as a team, and you're going to feel bad. No one likes dying first. So what I do to scout the enemy team is I'll push out to container and I'll wait. If no one moves for a few seconds, then I think they're going to be over here. Or they're pushing through B, because I've seen no one go this way. I've seen no one on the shelf. I've seen no one on heavy. I've seen no one on Pride Rock or Cap Hill. This one, the overtime actually is, I think this is an older map, but the overtime's here on B. So this is Pride Rock. Cap Hill is Pride Rock. And this shelf back here is a really nice head glitch behind the bottom snipe. So if I'm on containers behind crane or by crane, I can basically predict where they are based on how they're moving. Obviously, if they move out onto heavy, I have a free shot on them as a sniper. Or if I'm using a scout rifle, scout shotgun is really powerful on this map because a lot of the lanes are really long before you get to shotgun range. I can just pick them off with my Mida or my Jade Rabbit or my Call Advances or whatever. Maybe I have a Shadow or a Saturnine Rapier. Any of those. I can pick them off pretty easily because this area here is completely open. Pride Rock has no cover, and there's pretty much no cover behind the shelf from the location I've taken here. So round one, I normally go here, scout it out. So let's say I know that they're on the cinder block. I basically have a couple options. The first is I can hope that they're sniping bridge, and I can move behind the shelf, and right about here, you have a shot on them. Good headshot. A lot of people are posted up here. Normally, you can get a shot onto the guy on cinder block, sweep around to truck, get another shot. And there's good cover here. You have cover behind the shelf, and a really good escape route because this is all undercover, as long as you don't miss your jump. When you're on truck, there's good cover here. You can dip into the warehouse. There's a few boxes here that you can dip in and out of to get closer, if you're a shotgunner, to the people on A bridge and really close the gap very easily, or just cover the orb. You can hop into warehouse as a shotgunner and push out relatively easily undercover to get to the orb. So that's what I like to do on Bravo team. On Alpha team, I really like sniping on these boxes, but a lot of people are kind of clued in on someone's going to be on the boxes, and they're not going to be looking here. They're not going to be looking somewhere around here. There's a head glitch over here on these cinder blocks. that you can snipe into here. This is probably the riskiest opening as far as you're under no cover on the crates, but you have a very good vantage point that basically sees everything. And you'll get here first before anyone else shows up. That's pretty much any class. Maybe you'll get on top of the box if you miss your first jump right as they come out. But if you jump on the box initially, then you'll be the first to that sight line, which is good. We always want to get to our sniper lines first. So that's an opening. Like I said, there's a head glitch here. So if you know that maybe after a couple rounds you've noticed that they've been flanking through B, you can cover from the cinder block this flank. You can cover with your primary under the bridge. You can cover with your primary a flank through top heavy or through behind top heavy around this pillar. So you have a few options. Basically, you never want to go onto Pride Rock. You do not want to go here. Why is that? This is we've talked before about lanes of traffic where people are going to go through. This is right in the middle of where everyone wants to go through. You're basically in the middle of where everyone wants to kill you. You don't want to be here. And you don't have great options for escape either. This entire area here is open. If you're on the other side, this entire area here is open. Your one option is to run under bridge, and if someone is on top of bridge, they can easily drop down and cut you off. So stay away from Pride Rock. Yes, it lets you cover a lot of angles, but you have no options to escape. You have to kill your way out, and for the most part, you don't want to put yourself in situations where you need to kill your way out. So let's talk about going on top of bridge and how to do that effectively, because I see a lot of teams go on the bridge and then they don't know what to do. Or maybe you're the team that's getting pushed from the bridge. What do you do? So there's a few things that you can do if they're pushing bridge. Let's say all three of them are pushing bridge. They're all up top pushing you this way. Well, instantly you know that this is a no-fly zone. You don't want to be around A bridge because they're going to drop down right on top of you. So what do? Well, you can post up around it and wait for them to drop down. You can go onto these blocks and you get a nice little shot here. You can go around truck and you can shoot up into it. You can go all the way to shelf and you can cover their drop. Now the interesting thing about going out on a shelf is that you can actually see them going across the bridge. I believe by the time you get to shelf or around truck, maybe around this rock, they should be about halfway across, given that they make their first jump. So that gives you really, really nice shots to get them very weak pushing across. So even if your teammates make a poor decision and decide that they're going to stay on a bridge, they're going to tough it out, you can weaken them as you're behind shelf. And you can deal with them and soften them up for your teammates to take care of them. If you're the team on bridge, normally you want to be pushing with shotguns. I always push on this map. And I almost always run a sniper on this map. I've run a fusion a few times. But if I'm sniping, I'm running the last word and I'm pushing this and I'm just dropping down on him, raining bullets. I know that I only need, if I have Stormfist up, I know that I only need one shot to them, and I'm going to be in Stormfist range. Like, that's a given. I'm going to be able to skate across here, body shot them, land behind them, and punch them in the face. The issue with that, as a non-shotgunner, is you're kind of screwed when you're behind enemy lines, and your teammates aren't there to support you. I've lost rounds, personally, because I went across the bridge, I got a double kill, and then I got cleaned up here, and the third guy just gets 2 reses while my teammates are back here hard scoping. They're like hard scoping bridge and they've pushed a shelf, and they just can't They can't cover both reses and get me up. So now it's a 2v3. So if you do push bridge, you need to relay that information to your teammates, and you need to coordinate what to do if things go wrong. The easiest thing to do pushing this is to push as a team, all three of you, and just drop down on top of them all at once. If you are going to try to cover this from the long range, pushing all the way into garage or all the way around truck is pretty much where you want to be. Bridge is okay as well if the orbs are in a sight line where you can see them. But because this box is here, these boxes are here, and there's the train cars, it's a little iffy about covering orbs that die in the back of a bridge. So this map on threes, I've played it a handful of times. I really like how it plays out on threes because it's just big enough that you can really manipulate how the spawns work. And it's not quite so small that you'll get there too soon. But you do have to be careful on this map of picking angles when you do push, even if you know where they're going to be. Because there's a lot of cover, there's a lot of head glitches in a lot of different spots. I'm not even going to... I covered the major ones, but there's a lot of ways to get elevation, to get under cover, to just fire from cheeky areas, and to have firefights in really strange ways on threes, where different head glitches come into play. So for example, there's like a slope here. It's a really good head glitch for when you're fighting in the back of Sea Warehouse. But like on trials, that's barely ever going to come up. And if it does come up, it's pretty natural to go on those stairs or to go through the container, which is another okay head glitch. There's like a door, kind of dip in and out of it. But on threes, you normally spawn on either location. So depending, and it's really easy to get split spawned, because if everybody dies in B, then you don't know where you're going to spawn if you don't spawn at the same time. One of you could be in warehouse, the other one could be like outside Z, the last one could be in C, and you could just be constantly rotating around the map, picking people off as they spawn, not letting them regroup. So it gets really rough on this map if you don't understand where the spawns are. Basically, you can spawn anywhere around the edge here. I haven't really noticed anyone spawn in this location, but pretty much this big arc from A to C, A, B, C, you're going to spawn in one of those locations depending on where the enemy team is and where your teammates are. So that means that, well, first of all, because no one's spawning here, this is normally a free move around the map. As long as you know how to dip in and out of cover, and there is a lot of cover here as long as you don't go on top of the hill, to move back and forth. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for this episode. So I'm going to open it up, go ahead and open it up to you guys for questions, as usual. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we can do a different map. You can ask questions about different maps, different game modes, Rumble, Salvage, whatever. I haven't played Frontier enough on Salvage to know where the points are, so I can't give you information on that. But I can tell you how to move around the map or whatnot. And I have all the other maps that we discussed before, so we can always go back to and bring up another map to talk about that. So I'll wait for you guys to come with some questions. Okay, questions. In trials from Bravo spawn, is pushing to behind B hill a good option? So trials, Bravo spawn, pushing to behind B hill. Okay, so I want to follow up for a flank. Okay, so I'll answer the question as if it weren't a flank, and then I'll answer the question as if it were a flank. So if it's not a flank, the reason you would push behind B is because you aren't comfortable pushing through this area because they're all sniping over here. So you want to push through B. I would say absolutely this is a good option because most players are used to covering this crossway and they aren't used to the angles that you're going to be attacked from B. This entire area here is all undercover. This under here is undercover from bridge. And then there's some boxes here. There's a pole here, and you can basically dip into garage to get a nice flank on the people sniping. Or you can push all the way through garage behind them. So B is really nice for pushing as a team. If the enemy team's all hard scoping on A, and you don't feel comfortable either pushing down through the river or across the bridge. As a flanker, B is normally where you want to go, period. And that's primarily because, like I said earlier, people aren't used to covering B. And on Bravo side, you have a lot of options once you get to behind B hill to either cover orbs or to push different angles. So if you're behind B hill, you can push into garage, and like I said, you can get a nice flank on the snipers on bridge. You can push all the way around or all the way through warehouse. Or if maybe this is unsafe and they're moving towards you, you can actually double back and go under bridge. And this is undercover as well. So you really have two major lanes. You go into garage and then decide, do I go in the spawn or do I engage? Or you go underneath bridge. So as a flank from Bravo side, this is very, very strong. If it's a true flank. Even if it's not a true flank, you're relatively safe as far as your escape route. If they're here and you're here, you're pretty safe pushing undercover and leaving. I wouldn't suggest going under bridge because it's pretty easy to cut you off. But your escape back into C garage or back onto C bridge or back into C boxes, it's pretty good as far as getting out of trouble. Same thing goes for alpha side. If you push here, again, you can go under bridge. You can go into C garage and flank here, or here, or here, or all the way around. Basically the same opening. Your escape route is, I would think the escape route on alpha is better because there's more cover going back into garage, or even back onto A bridge. But in general, B is where you want to be at if you're going to try to flank or rotate around the map. Just because of how much cover there is and how easy it is to get to escape if things go poorly. Since we talked about 1v3s, I'll briefly talk about some good locations to do 1v3. Again, like I said, you don't want to go on bridge. It's a no-no because you can get pinched, as you can see, from lots of different angles. So you don't want to go on bridge in a 1v3. Some really strong spots, both for snipers and for shotgunners, are either warehouse. This tech room, or cubby as I called it, is probably, in my opinion, the best place for a shotgunner. Because you can hover above the doors and it's multi-elevation, so they could think you're where you're not. But there's a lot of cover, a lot of ways to move, a lot of space to move. So if you're a shotgunner or a sniper, there's a lot of space to snipe, there's a lot of space to escape if you're getting pushed. There's a lot of cover to close the gap if you're a shotgunner. The problem with these areas is how far away they are from the capture point. So you also have to be aware that if they decide not to engage you in these warehouses, you need to know how to cover the point properly with your loadout or with a grenade, or which angles can actually see the point. As we saw earlier, if you're on the bridge, you can't actually get a shot onto the point. You have to go around. Which means that, I mean, even though we're not going under the bridge, our two best options for challenging the capture point are from C garage out, which is pretty much in the open. There's a little at Glitch here, or through onto B Hill. And there's a good spots around B Hill. Some elevation stuff that you can manipulate to your advantage. If you're a Titan and you run Death from Above, which I always recommend, you can go on top of bridge and you have a pretty good shot this angle. Same thing for heavy coverage. If you have any kind of long range super, it's pretty easy to cover either heavy during heavy round from the middle of bridge. All right. Well, it doesn't look like there's any more questions, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. It was a pleasure as usual. I will be back to the normal time of Saturday at 5 PDT, and we'll bring number 7. And I will have a special surprise for number 8 that I will talk about on Saturday. Some collaboration with some people on the Slack, Crucible Radio Slack, for a 3v3 sweat where I actually have all 6 point of views. So we'll be able to actually break down a single play, whether that be a team wipe or a super or whatever, and how it plays out. And we can see why it worked or why it didn't, and really dive deep into a specific play. So I'm really excited to bring you guys that, but that won't be until next Thursday. So next Thursday we'll cover that. But I'm really, really excited to show you guys that. So definitely tell your friends, tune in for that one, because there's going to be nothing like it. I don't think anyone's ever done anything like this. And I've been practicing syncing up the videos to kind of show you side by side 2 opposing players and what it looks like from either player's point of view. So it should be really cool. And I hope to see you guys soon. Call out.